Welcome to this episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess. I'm Aric.
And I'm Angie.
We are married with a ton of kids.
We have 6 kids total. He has 3 and I have 3.
My name's Hallie and I love riding horses.
I'm Lexi and I love agriculture.
My name's Carter and I love eating.
My name's Chase and I love lifting weights.
My name's Summer and I love spending my parents' money.
I'm Dane and I love baseball.
Our show is about our blended, blessed, and always a mess life. And our hope is if you find yourself in the same situation we are in, that by sharing our story, all the fun and all the mess, the challenges we are experiencing, it will give you some inspirations, laughs, and community, knowing you are not alone in this mess.
We appreciate you spending time with us. Let's dive in.
This episode is brought to you by Sevens Boutique, an online shop created by 2 sisters, Angie and Jess, who believe you should walk boldly, dress divinely, and know your significance. At Sevens, you'll find easygoing pieces that are cozy, classy, and made to mix and match. Think relaxed pants, cozy sweaters, and lifestyle sets you'll want to live in. Every item is handpicked with purpose, so you can shop confidently, dress comfortably, and walk boldly. Inventory is small and curated, so if you see something you love, don't wait. Visit sevensboutique.com and use the code PODCAST10 for 10% off your first order. www.sevensboutique.com. Walk boldly, dress divinely, know your significance.
Welcome to this week's episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess, where right out of the gate, I'm going to drop something on Angie. She's going to be like, what are you talking about? She sent me the header for this podcast, and it doesn't matter. And we all know Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, the megastar, right? He got his start as a professional wrestler. Yes.
Which we love watching wrestling. No.
Angie does, but me and Chase and Summer, she does as well. But when he started out, he would ask another wrestler, like he'd act like he didn't know them. He'd be like, what's your name? And they'd start to tell him, and he would immediately go, it doesn't matter what your name is. And people loved it. And that is how The Rock started to get famous 20-ish years ago. So as soon as I saw it doesn't matter, I was like, oh, The Rock. Got it. Here we go.
What was the title that I sent you?
I can't say it. We can't. It's not appropriate. So Angie's feisty today. So she's sipping on a little hot tea to just calm herself. And and we're gonna roll with it. But it is the overarching theme of that. After you lose a child, what matters to a parent who's lost the child, things look differently. So maybe the weather doesn't matter. Maybe an issue that seems big doesn't matter. And that's really the headspace that you're in.
Yeah, I find myself saying this a lot, often in my head, is it doesn't matter. And it's like on repeat. So then I have to ask myself, well, what does matter? If all these things don't matter, then what does matter? And I had a therapy appointment this week, which I have not gone in a while. It's been probably a couple months because of life. And I've had a lot of travel, as we talked about, and just felt like for the most part, I was doing okay. But every once in a while, you need to check back in and do a little health check. How am I really doing? And I felt like this was a topic of our discussion is alignment with the world, because what the world feels like matters. And even just in your day-to-day household, in my mind, I'm always screaming, it doesn't bleep matter. But that's an internal thing for me to navigate. And so I shared that today on our social media. I just started thinking of a list of all the things that we worry about, we think about, that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. If you're faced with extreme loss, you get that phone call in that split second. All of the dumb shit that we all worry about every day does not matter. And then what you have to cling to is your faith, the actions you decide to take each day, who you surround yourself with, the fact that you can take a breath matters. So I wrestle with that a lot in my mind, because just going through completely avoidable death, it just unravels you. And it's just crystal clear to me every day of what I should focus on and what really matters. And Hallie drives so much of that. She is still very much in our every day. Summer shared with me the other day, because I don't know if we shared this on the podcast, but Carter, when him and I went and got our tattoos together, Summer wanted to get a little tattoo. And so I normally probably would have been like, no, you're 16, you're not getting a tattoo, but you can't really say no when they want to get their dead sister's signature on their finger, on her middle finger, which I also think is very appropriate because Hallie was always flipping the bird. So she's got Hallie's tiny little signature on her finger. And she loves it. I think she looks at it and just always reminds her of Hallie. But this week she's like, Mom, look how I purposely placed this ring on my finger. And next to the finger that has Hallie's signature, she's got this ring that says more than life. More than life. And I think a lot of times we overlook people that are functioning well. The twins are doing pretty well, but it's easy to overlook that they have been through something truly horrific, something I couldn't even imagine at their age. And, they experience the same things that I experience. It doesn't matter because they're looking through a different lens. And so many times, like, just day-to-day typical teenager stuff that happens, I think they find themselves thinking the exact same thing. Like, yeah, that really isn't a big deal. Or finding that sometimes it's hard for them to relate to some of the small things that people feel like are big things.
Yeah.
Even though they're functioning well, it appears, right? So, in my mind, if I can take my pain, my loss, and help other people, remind other people to put things into perspective, then I will shout that to the rooftops, because the list of what matters is small. The list of what doesn't matter is long. And our life here is short. Thank God, honestly.
Pastor Dave, who we've had on the podcast before, I've referenced this before, but I mean, it was probably 7, 8, 9 years ago before you and I had met, when he did a sermon just talking about when we go to make our choices, this life is short. It may be 20 years like Hal. It may be 50. It may, my dad had 52 years. It may be 100 years. But in the comparison of eternity, that's incredibly small. And so a lot of times we all operate on this like, oh my gosh, this is such an important thing scale, when 5 days from now, it's not that important. 5 months, it wasn't. 5 years. And then 5 years after you're gone, really no one hardly ever remembers those things. It's crazy.
And I think there's such an aspect to the why of like, why do certain people get to live a long time? And maybe when they don't even want to. And then you have people that are full of life and then their life's cut short. I'll share a little bit. We last night had a grief group meetup, my small little grief group. And we had a guest on that, I don't know how old he is. He's, I would guess, in his 70s probably. But he, during COVID, had gotten really sick and ended up in the hospital. But he had this dream that he had died. And, in the traditional sense, saw his mom, his mother-in-law, saw his funeral, all those things. And he kind of had a unique experience with how he would describe that dream that he had about dying. And it was just interesting because he felt like he had so many people praying for him that he had this choice if he wanted to fight through COVID or if he wanted to just like let it go. And he wanted to let it go until he saw his family at his funeral and decided that he was going to fight. And he felt like everybody praying for him. It was this long dream. Everybody praying for him prayed him back into fighting. But, being completely honest, as a mom sitting there where we had for days people praying for Hallie, I'm listening to him and I'm like, well, he must have had some purpose that he had to come back here for. Because why would my 20-year-old daughter, who had no choice in the matter, if she stayed or left because she had already passed away. And everybody praying for her that she didn't come back. And you always wrestle with that. And I think there's no answer. There's no answer to why, except that your purpose here is complete. Your journey here is complete. And so I think if we keep that in mind too, of when we're dealing with struggles, really understanding like, gosh, does this matter? Does this really matter? And second, if I'm here and I'm breathing, what is my purpose? Make it purposeful. Make it matter. If it doesn't really matter, the things they're worrying about, find things that do matter and make it purposeful. So speaking of all of that, I'm done with my little rant. Speaking of that, we wanted to share things that matter to us, which is signs from Hallie that we get all the time. Like I have started trying to write them down more because I would say every other day at minimum, I get someone that texts me about Hallie, either a sign or something that they saw that reminded them of Hallie. And what a freaking beautiful thing that we're closer to 3 years than we are 2 years of losing Hallie. And she is still out there reminding people and they're thinking of her. It's like the best thing.
Yeah, one of the things that we're not even going to talk about today, but you posted on our socials in the last probably 10 days or so, was you and I were out back and there was this gorgeous cloud. It was, looks, immediately we looked at it like, well, that's a feather. And it was like a bright orange, looked like it was like a feather on fire almost. It was gorgeous. But I mean, little things like that, like make us feel like she is near.
And that wasn't just us. So I posted on social media and I'm like, what does this remind you of? And I mean, it was like feather, 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 feather. I mean, everybody, it was a feather in the sky, big feather in the sky. So there's so many examples of that. So we're going to give you some small examples. Then we're going to wrap the podcast with a big example that is also, I think, will make you smile.
All right. So, just last night even.
Last night, I'm on my grief group call and Liza, my niece, who is like the mini Hallie and starting to do barrel racing, was barrel racing. And I have not been able to go watch her yet because every time it's kind of like last minute. You don't know if it's going to happen or not, or if they're going to go. And I always have something going on. So I had my grief group. So I wasn't able to make it. But then I get a text from Jess that says, Hallie's here riding, and sends me a video. And I read it like, someone reminded her of Hallie. And I watched the video and it's a gray horse, which is exactly what I think Phoenix will look like as she grows. And then I reread her text and it's like the girl riding the gray horse at the barrel race. Her name is Hallie.
Mm-hmm.
At the race that Liza goes to. And then on top of that, she had a lady come up to her and was like, are you Angie's sister? And she's like, yeah. Well, it was our victim's advocate for the Attorney General's office. So the appeal case. And her little girl rides too. And she was there riding. Normally she wears a Hallie t-shirt too. And it makes you smile. It makes you smile. Also sad, but makes you smile. And I always take all those things as a sign from Hallie that she's still with us. Then you went and got your haircut.
Went and got my haircut this morning. So if you're watching the YouTube, it's fresh cut today.
Fresh cut.
And I was spending some time because I had, about 45-minute drive down to Angie's sister, Jessie. Jessie's involved in a lot of things that we do, including the signs, but her and Hal were really close. And I was just praying on the way down there. I was praying to Jesus. And I was talking to Hallie. I was talking to my dad. That's something I've been doing a lot of lately. And, I talked to Hallie a lot about how I can show up well for Angie and the kids and just that she would be present. And when I got out of the car in front of Jessie's salon this morning, I looked down and just this white feather was on the curb right before you take a step and then walk into the door. I mean, just crazy that this white feather, you look around, nothing else.
On a busy road.
Yeah, busy road. No animals would be on this road. And it was a big feather. So I took it into Jess. I was like, well, I guess Hallie's going to hang out with us this morning. That's what it looks like. So that was just another unique sign from her. And we get those often. And then a little over a week and a half ago, maybe right in that area, I had a long drive, few hours down to a business trip. And it was with a new customer. And I don't know, I just had some feelings about whether or not I should be going to this and what I should expect out of it. And so it was the only time in my life I've ever gone over like 30 to 45 minutes, not listen to the radio. I prayed the entire way and talked to Jesus a lot and talked to Hal, my dad. And I did talk to Hallie specifically and just said, hey, if I'm supposed to be here today, if this is supposed to be something that I continue with, would you give me a sign? And ended up meeting with the guy for almost 3 hours. In the last like 30 minutes, it had all gone well. The energy was very good. And at the end, we started talking to each other about our families. And I proceeded to share about Hallie and her tragic passing. And so, she was a barrel racer. And he's like, oh my gosh, brother, look at my arms. And he held his arms out and there's just the hairs were sticking up, goosebumps visible from across the desk. And he's like, I've had these weird goosebumps as we've talked today. And now I know why. He's like, look at this. My daughter, 25, is a champion barrel racer down in Florida. Then he pulls up, and that's just not normal. You don't have a lot of barrel racers. Okay. It's not a normal sport. And then he pulls up a picture. She's on a gray horse. And from the profile looked very much like Hallie in the saddle. And it was just like, I went into his bathroom at his office and cried. Because I was just so overwhelmed. Like I felt Hallie so clearly and was like, okay, this is your sign. I talked to you on the way down here, said, give me something. And this was very clearly you saying, yes, I want you to be here. You should be in this space. So that was really powerful and moving for me that day. And even still just talking about it.
And we've had several people that have reached out that they've had like health scares with their kiddos. And they shared that they prayed to Hallie. They talked to Hallie to watch over them. And I just can't describe how that feels. For one, that they remember her. And two, that they also recognize the connection, the powerful connection that she has. And that's another reason why we keep talking about her and this experience of death, and to know that when people pass away, that they're not gone. They're not. I just had one of my good friends message me this morning that a dear friend of theirs that had been suffering for a while, and it was her time to go, that she was sitting with her and was praying to her and to she got a lot of angel friends, unfortunately, and was asking them to be with her and to help her, pass away easily, quietly. And Hallie was one of them. And then they ended up moving her into another room. And she's like, when they moved her into the other room, there were sevens everywhere. And she's like, I just totally felt like Hallie was there with her. And it's just the different kind of a relationship that I have with Hallie, but that it's people that I am connected with. And even some of them are people I've not met in person, but feel this like connection with. Hallie shows up for them too.
It's just one of those things where we have no idea what the other side looks like. But the more and more we get signs from Hallie, and the more I start to talk to her, the more I've re-engaged with my dad after all this time by just visiting with him. I really do think that, she may be in this room with me right now. And it's like there's a parable that somebody tells, and it's about how when kids are in the womb, they think, well, that's all there is. Why would I want to get outside of the womb? Because there would be moms taking care of me in here. And then you get out of the womb and there's a whole nother bigger world. And there's a part of me that thinks that this life that you and I and everyone listening is like being in the womb, that we're just living this life that we have no concept of what is on the other side when we actually go and our souls go to be with Jesus, what that really is. And it's got to be so much more powerful and beautiful. And you're able to do so many more things and to be in all the places like Hallie is with all the different people. And it's just unfathomable, really.
Mm-hmm. So the last sign, it's a little bit of a longer story that we want to share with you. So about a month ago, probably, we were sitting on a plane getting ready to fly down to Hallie's house. And it was the trip with Summer and a couple of her friends. And Aric and I are sitting in one row. Girls were sitting somewhere else. And my brother calls me, my brother Craig. And he's like, hey, what are you doing? Which he doesn't call me at 10. Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, I'm actually sitting on a plane, get ready to take off, go down to Hallie's house. He's like, hey, is Aric is Aric with you? I'm like, yeah, what's up? Well, I got an idea. I think I'm gonna need his help. And he proceeds to tell me that his daughter, who is probably 2 years older than Hallie, and they were close. Well, she got married about a year ago, and that was the first wedding that Hallie would have been in. And so she was an honorary bridesmaid. It was hard. It was hard for Kaylee, my niece, and just everybody. And they carried up a big picture of her like she was in the wedding, and it was painful, beautiful moment. And anyway, so she's expecting now. And he had shared that she had asked him to be in charge of the gender reveal. I'm like, oh, God.
Well, he doesn't keep secrets well, right? Right? It's not his forte is keeping secrets. Okay.
He's not a good secret keeper. And anyway, so then he's still sharing this and I'm listening. And he's like, so I have an idea, because she was in the bathroom getting ready one day and the lights flickered. And in our family, like, everyone feels like Hallie's close. And so she was like, oh, hey, Hal. And she said, why don't you flick the lights twice if I'm having a girl and 3 times if I'm having a boy? And she flicked the lights twice. And Kaylee was like, I am going to lose my shit if I am having a girl. That's just so crazy. So crazy. So he proceeds to tell me that she is having a girl. So he was driving in his car and had this idea that he wanted to use AI to do the gender reveal. And then I'm like, what the hell? Do you not even know what I do? Why are you asking about what Aric can help with? Like,
I
I'm
also
in
could have helped. I also could have helped. Okay.
I'm in technology. I could do this quickly. So anyway, I'm like, I'm on it. I will figure it out. So it didn't take me long. Didn't take me long to figure out a tool. And I uploaded several videos of Hallie's voice, played around with it for a little bit, and created this short clip. And then last week or the week before, they ended up sharing it during the gender reveal. So I'm going to play it. I'm going to play her voice. So you guys, hopefully this works out.
Because Kaylee didn't know this was going to happen.
No, she had no idea. She wanted her dad to surprise her. And he come up with however they were going to do the gender reveal. All right.
Hi, Kaylee and Lauren. It's me, Hallie. When Craig thought of me to announce the baby reveal, I was honored. Thank God my mom knows technology to make it happen. But here's the deal. Kaylee has already been talking with me, and I already shared with her what she was having. So I think Kaylee should be the one that actually announces it. Miss you guys. Oh, and in case you forgot, I'm better than everyone. Love, love, love.
So cool. Technology. That's that thing about technology that is neat. When you played that for me at Hallie's house, I was like, oh my God, like that's her. And I think the thing that really struck me was like, we watched the videos and we've seen the videos, and you said a while back, it's hard because there's no new memories. I was like, oh my gosh, it's a new thing I've not heard Hallie say before. Yeah. And yet it was done with technology, and it was, I don't know, it was really powerful. So
yeah, so they played that. My brother said I had asked 2 people to help with the gender reveal, and he played it. And so then Kaylee said, I'm having a girl. So Hallie was right, and Hallie was involved in the gender reveal for her cousin. So
pretty impressive sign.
Pretty impressive sign there with the lights flickering.
Yeah, all of that today to just say, like, it's important to keep in perspective what really matters, because so much of it in life that we're dealing with really doesn't. And so we are constantly wrestling with it, Angie, more than anyone I know, as to, how to balance what matters with what does. And and keep going.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that I have it all the time. There's times I still have to remind myself, even though it's crystal clear, I can still get hung up on things that at the end of the day doesn't matter.
Well, what's something that you're grateful for today? And we will wrap this episode and let you get back to the many, many jobs that you have as a business owner and a writer and all the things.
Hey, you like my shirt? This is a Stevens shirt.
I love it.
I am grateful right now for this hot tea in the bath that I'm about ready to take. And that we also need to get back to a Wednesday night schedule, not a Friday night schedule on recording the podcast, because by the end of the week, I am toast. And I just want to rot in bed, like the kids say.
Well, we'll wrap this up and I'll edit and you can go get in the bathtub. I would just say I'm grateful that sports season has finally found an end for about 4 to 6 weeks. And I love sports.
What are you smoking?
What do you mean?
Summer's got soccer August 15th.
Okay. So about 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks then, not 4 to 6, but 3 to 4.
Yeah.
When I say that, we have a 3 to 4 weekend window. That's it, which is a lot for us, where I don't have to travel to Kansas City, St. Louis, Branson, wherever that may be. And so just maybe can try to decompress and actually enjoy being outside tomorrow, get some sun, because I'm outside at the ball field, but you know what kind of tan lines those are.
Not good. Not good.
Yeah. So grateful that we get a small reprieve. And I would say excited about next week. We get to take a family trip. I don't call it a vacation. That's a whole nother thing. Vacation is when Angie or myself, when we're either by ourselves or together, and we can just think and process and read and relax. A family trip is normally when you go with your children. You listening right now, you're like, I know what you're talking about. This scenario, we're with our children and Angie's family, the majority of her siblings, some grandkids, because it's her mom and dad's 55th wedding anniversary.
Dad is doing better. And so he still has back issues, but it was touch and go with her for a little bit of whether or not he was going to be able to attend. And so it took a lot of talking and encouragement. But
Indeed.
I think they're going. They're going.
He's going. There's not an option. He's in. That's done. So he'll be there as well. So I'm cautiously excited. But again, and I talk about this on the radio regularly, these are not vacations. People, you took vacation days. No, this will not be relaxing. It's a family trip. Because if you know anything, when you have kids like I do, they're constantly like, Dad, throw the ball. Dad, get in the ocean. Dad. And I love it. I do enjoy it. I'm very active and I love it. But let's just not confuse what the two are. There's a family trip and there's a vacation. So I am excited about it and grateful for the opportunity to spend so much time with our family. So that is what I have for today. I feel like it is a great time to get started just editing this bad boy and letting you hop in the bathtub.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Okay, let's do that. For the rest of you, we hope that you have an absolutely wonderful week. Don't forget, you can check out sevensboutique.com if you'd like to check out what Angie's currently wearing. You can see the video on YouTube. And we hope you have a wonderful week and God bless.
Thank you for listening to Blended Blessed and Always a Mess. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and at blendedblessedalwaysamess.com.
Reach out to us on any of our social channels. We would love to hear from you. Have a great week.